We'll talk. Okay. Switch.
That was interesting to hear. Very odd.
How come I can hear myself?
Oh, yeah, cool.
Testing.
Mine's on.
Wait. Mr. Zamora has an echo. His computer.
I can hear him. Dr. Pino.
Okay. All right. I call this this regular meeting in order. Today is Wednesday, September 8th. It's 6:37 p.m. Those present today are Pedro Ramirez, Kenny Rogers, Rivela, Betty Mendoza, Coach Iris Iglesias, and Juan Gonzalez, and myself, Jerry Zamora. Dr. Perez, was this meeting properly posted?
Yes, sir. The meeting notice was posted by 5 p.m. on September 3, 2021.
And we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. If we can have a moment in silence, please. Thank you.
What did you do with your guy?
Any public comments?
No, sir. Did have any?
Superintendent?
Yes, for the superintendent's update, I do have a PowerPoint. And then a few items to also elaborate on. Would like to congratulate our child nutrition program. As you can see, they've been hard at work and working with the child nutritionist and all of the staff. And as you can see, the massive production. However, the meals look very appealing and these are not staged. You know, this is what our kids get to see in the cafeterias. We've been doing a lot of walkthroughs in our cafeterias, and this is what the students are able to see in our schools. And they're very healthy meals, and also they do their best to make them appetizing. Our food trucks at the high school and junior highs have been a big hit. And we're waiting on the misting fans so that we can have more students. And they get to have what we call fanfare or their fabs, you know, their favorites. Hamburgers, pizza, the Mexican taquitos are a huge hit. And we are planning to also bring them down to the elementaries, especially our intermediate grades, 3rd through 5th grade. So we'll be working on that. So we want to thank everyone in our child nutrition program for making this happen. And then we also have our own staff that if for some reason someone is absent, our administrators will also assist because we have children either having their meals, especially lunch, either in the classrooms or in the cafeteria to observe physical distancing. Moving on to the annex. Some of you board members.
Dr. Perez, before you move on, are the employees able to purchase from the food truck as well?
The employees are able to purchase, and remember that 2 years ago, we instituted the 50% off where our employees get a 50% discount. So yes, our employees are able to purchase their meals in our cafeterias or at the food trucks.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that all of our children do receive nutritional meals and that they are readily available to all of our district staff. Not only campus-based, but staff that may be housed at some of our other facilities. Also, today, some of you board members were able to do a tour of our beautiful annex building. Pretty soon, we'll be making an announcement so that we can have an open house and a ribbon cutting ceremony. Right now, we're waiting because we don't want to have big groups. However, this is a beautiful main entrance. Those of you that got to visit when it used to be a furniture store, there's no trace of it. It was a total team effort from our maintenance department, our transportation employees during the summer, painting, stripping, doing all kinds of work. And so you're able to see the main entrance, beautifully decorated. We also want to thank Ms. Dora Garcia, Ms. Annabelli, and everybody that has helped to make this place look as nice as it is. And huge need that we had was a big staff development room. So I know that the staff was very excited that it was going to be a warehouse and a place to house our technology department, our information systems, but we said, okay, hold on. We need a staff development room because we don't have, a big capacity. Another thing that we envisioned was that we will have a partition to be able to cut it into 2 rooms when we need smaller rooms. So we're really excited about that. As you can see, it's beautiful. And then we also have the IT reception area for visitors, our IT secretary, and this is where Mr. Jorge Cavazos is housed with the PEMS department. We also have an executive conference room. You know that many times we go out to campuses, especially when we have student recognition. So now we'll be able to have some of those meetings here because we have more room. And there's an executive conference room for the board to be able to have executive meetings in there. Our technology department, we have our programmers, and that was specifically designed for them. It's an open space because they need to collaborate. Then information systems, the staff did need privacy because many times they're troubleshooting with campus staff. So they need that privacy. We have the warehouse, and as you can see, a lot of the cabinetry all over the building, the shelving has been repurposed from either surplus or from our old warehouse. And this is where a lot of our employees, transportation, and staff that we hired during the summer assisted in painting, stripping, and doing all of that. And the flooring at the warehouse has to be that skid kind of flooring because we do have machinery to be able to move pallets. We have the warehouse, the mail room, fixed assets. And here you can see how our maintenance staff was laying out tile, making sure that we had the proper insulation, and just, just doing all kinds of wall work, installing the touchless water faucets. And of course, we want to thank the City of Mission, the Fire Marshal's office, for coming in, making sure that everything was up to code, our business office, and especially our maintenance, our construction, plumbing, electrical, custodial, grounds, our HVAC, transportation, technology, warehouse, and of course, Dora Garcia. And it was a total team effort. I mean, it was a beautiful sight. They being like busy bees. And the most important thing is that now we have a place where our servers will be housed and we won't have to worry about flooding, because in that other area, that was the big worry. This will also serve as an emergency command system. So we're very excited with what we've been able to accomplish. So again, kudos to all of the staff for a great team effort. Okay, moving on, there has been some COVID cases, but overall, the percentage of our student population involved is very small, and that is thanks to, and in part, to all of the protocols that have been in place. And staff, while on campus, have been able to mitigate the spread. Upon arrival, all students receive a temperature check, and our staff monitors for everyone that may be exhibiting symptoms. And now more staff is receiving the professional development training to become certified to be able to administer the student COVID tests, and our nurses will do that. That's one with the Texas Department of Emergency Management. They can also do another test, and that is with our telemedicine provider. Of course, parents have to go into the student portal and provide permission. We did send an email a couple of weeks ago to our parents, letting them know about the free testing. We're going to send another reminder. Also, telemedicine was provided when parents enroll their children online. It has an area where parents could enroll their children in telemedicine. They're able to provide health insurance if they have it. However, parents that may not have that, the children can still get a consultation if parents have provided permission. As a matter of fact, Ms. Garcia was at one of our schools this afternoon, and a child whose parent had already enrolled the child in telemedicine, the child was able to go home with antibiotics. And so we were very pleased with that. So, and if children do not have health insurance, then the doctors through telemedicine will still prescribe medicine over the counter if that's what's warranted. If the physician believes that antibiotics is required, the parents will still be told. Okay? And we keep reminding everyone that the first line of defense really begins at home. If a child is experiencing any of the symptoms related to COVID-19, it's best to consult a physician. And always practice the 3 W's: wear a mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands often, or use hand sanitizer. And that's something that our teachers work with our children. And in other news, with our CTE program, with the Texas labor market, it indicates that health science occupations continue to be highest in demand in the state. So Mission CISD is leading the way, offering a variety of state and nationally recognized industry-based certifications that allow our children, upon graduation, to enter the workforce, if that's what they would like, or even work part-time as they continue their education. And we are providing programs and certifications in electrocardiogram with the EKG, certified nurse assistants, pharmacy technicians, patient care technicians, phlebotomy technician. We're also in our second year in providing the Health Science Academy at Mission Collegiate High School, with opportunities for certification, including dual program partnerships with South Texas. And our district has certified and licensed healthcare professionals to lead these exciting and comprehensive programs. Our district also plans to provide in the near future, hopefully next semester, emergency medical technician level 1 and medical office assistant. Also, we are leading the way by offering cosmetology programs at both of our comprehensive high schools. The cosmetology program allows students an opportunity to become licensed beauticians in our state. The licensure allows students to join the workforce in the beauty profession right out of high school. Due to our high demand in this program, we are offering 4 licensed beauticians. And the licenses are beautification certification, and we'll also offer the manicure specialty licensure for students that are interested. This year, we have been very excited to kick off our barbering licensure program, which is providing opportunities for our male students that are interested in a career in hair and grooming field. We have no doubt that this program will expand immediately in the near future because, students want to enter the workforce and some of them to work part-time while they pursue higher education as well. So we're very excited. We've met with some new opportunities so that we can start with more of expanding the medical at collegiate as well. And that is the update. Any questions?
I don't have questions, but I have a comment.
Sure.
I think one of the things that most of us have heard, I know I've heard it a lot, and I want to thank you and this board and of course your administration. A lot of working parents can't miss work anymore. And one of the things that I'm being grateful and appreciative is us going out, this district and you coming up with the initiative to test kids at school. And believe it or not, there may be some parents that are hesitant, but those parents that work 8 to 5 and cannot afford to get off, this is a great initiative. I
Absolutely.
want to thank you for that because it helps with working parents.
Mhm. And, we've got great staff. We want to thank our director for nursing, Yesenia Trevino, for really, going the extra mile, and Ms. Garcia's staff and our nurses. I mean, they're really our heroes in these unprecedented times.
And at the same time, it's saving parents time and money.
Exactly.
They don't have to pick up their kids. They're being tested. The results are coming out in 15 minutes. So it's a win-win situation.
Exactly. And, our staff is receiving the training, and not everyone is trained yet, but we're working towards that. And so we want to thank everyone, for your patience as we begin these new initiatives. And we know that sometimes there's a few little kinks here and there, but we'll be ironing them out. But again, we want to thank our staff and thank you as a board for approving these initiatives. Thank you. Okay, next item. We have Dr. Judy Solis, very special guest from Region 1, and she is our interim executive director. Dr. Solis. Absolutely.
I'm real honored to be here. I don't know, do I have to stand right there? I don't think you can see me.
Yes.
It's taller than I am.
We do have a recording.
I wore heels.
You're welcome to remove it. I have that issue. No, right?
Some of us. I'm really honored to be here tonight before you, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, because I have something to present to you all. But before I do that, I was sitting back there and When I walked in, of course, I was lost. They should have just told me the old lax.
Sorry.
Because all my friends were named for lax. I got here on time and I was able to join you a little bit on the tour, and it just brought back a lot of memories. Not the money I spent. I don't know if any of you know this, a little bit of trivia about me. 39 years ago, I started in education. Long time ago. And I'm not ready to go yet. And I started at Mission Junior High.
Oh.
And I passed by there because I wanted, just to check it out. And John Abanante was my boss, and I wasn't very happy when I first met him. But I grew to, he grows on me. He grew on me. I remember my first 2 weeks, I wanted to quit. I said, it's not for me. And within the month, I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with the kids. The Citrus Parade, y que se diga.
Yeah.
Texas history is what I taught. And even today, I still connect with students from Mission Junior High. And it's just amazing. It's just a great place to be. I moved on and now I am in Region 1, not ready to retire yet. And part of the role that I played there, my first hat that I wear is Deputy Director in charge of school, community, and administrative leadership support. Kind of long. I help with everything, the vaccines, I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. I just joined the team in November via San Antonio ISD, COVID. So I did learn something from my middle school kids or junior high kids. I'm a little crazy too. I moved back home because this is where I felt that if I was gonna make a bigger impact, it would be back home. So I'm here and I'm very, very proud to be here before you tonight. Your superintendent, who is a member of TASA, what we have in our organization in education is that we recognize quality. And that's why I'm real proud of the first hat that I wear, which is Deputy Director, that I get to work and train school boards. Fun, right? I get to train school boards all over the region, from Laredo to Brownsville to Valdoria and even Hebbronville. And it's exciting work for me because the work that you do, I know you volunteer your time. You're not here because you get a paycheck. You're here because of the gratitude, like the stories, your reports, the messages, just the work that you do for the children. So to recognize people for their work, I mean, we do it as educators, we've done it all our lives. By the way, I was teacher of the year my first year. I have to be a little crazy. But anyway, being a member of TASA, the superintendents, and by the way, we have 1,247 school boards in the state of Texas. That's a lot of school boards. And members of TASA, superintendents that are member of TASA, have an opportunity to nominate their school board for their outstanding work. And it's not just because the superintendent says so. I have to put together a committee. I'm just going to give a little bit of background. I have to put together a committee of her peers. And I was very picky and very selective because I wanted people that exemplified what quality was. It understood what quality was, not that one superintendent doesn't, but someone that had been in the business long enough to understand the hard work that school boards do. There is 12 criteria that has to be met, and it's scored anywhere from, of course, number one in my heart, and it's not listed as number one, the welfare of kids. I think number 8 on the list. I don't know that they rank it, but it's number 8, I believe. Going to where, do you monitor and do you update your board policy? That's one. Do you adhere to your board policy is another one. And the superintendent and her team have to put examples. And that packet, by the way, was beautiful. I didn't bring it with me. I left it because I'm.
Have copies.
Okay, good. But I have it, but I wanted to show it off. But it was really produced, I mean, the level was quality and it exemplified the work that you do as members of the board. Just listening to the superintendent's report, walking in this building and it just, it makes me very, very honored to present you as one, you represented Region 1. And this plaque is for you, and I'll read what it says, but not only that, I had the joy and the privilege, because it took me back 39 years ago, and I was able to submit your packet to TASA committee where they selected a group of 5 superintendents from throughout the state of Texas. And they looked at all the nominees for the regions. There were 20 regions. So every region selected one, sometimes 2. We nominated 2 and one of them, because we could select from a large district and a small district, not or, but and. So that would be 40 school boards that they would be reviewing. And out of the 40 school boards that were pushed, on to the next level, you are part of the top 5 in the state of Texas. And soon, I know there'll be an interview process, so get ready.
Yes.
But just speak from your heart, because your work speaks volumes. I have no doubt. My heart is just overwhelmed with joy, so just speak from your heart and you will do well. But this beautiful plaque is for Region 1 School Board of the Year, presented to Mission CISD Board of Trustees in recognition of outstanding commitment and leadership to the community and the students that you serve. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Want to take pictures with Dr. Solis? How do you want this done, Mr. Verley?
We could have the board come forward like we traditionally do. We'll do 2 lines with the
Okay.
officers. So like the first row and then the second row with everybody else, and on the other lines. Crazy.
My mask. I love it. For a Mission CISD
There you
mask.
go.
Our mask? I have my booster. I feel okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be off to the side.
You tell us.
We'll do the, we're gonna do 2 rows.
Okay.
So it's very yes, sir.
Hold on.
Sorry.
So they'll be in the front.
She's getting a shot with just that. Okay. Now we'll do the group shot.
Okay.
And then, go ahead. Ready? And then everyone else behind.
My first rodeo doing this job and you all got it.
Okay, remember me, I'm short.
Oh, do we take off our masks?
I think so.
Angle? Okay.
I'll take your part thing and you can see everyone's faces.
Mine don't came off.
Is
this so green?
No, y'all are.
One, two.
Yes, I was at your dinner too, and the sponsor and everything else.
Thank you so much.
We get to be everything likewise.
And your wife. And a whole bunch of others. How are you? Oh my God. Gotta work from the doctor's office.
That's why they give us
That's what
Has to do with that. Are you serious?
Go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, does Iris know she was gonna be here?
she's sick.
I don't think.
I don't know, I kind of,
Thank you.
somebody,
Thank you.
I thought she was from Brooklyn.
I thought so.
Blend in and.
See.
No can see. No can see.
All right.
You ready?
Next items, presentations to the Board of Trustees. 1. Hidalgo County Annual Tax Report for fiscal year 2021. Mr. Garcia?
President Simona, members of the board, Dr. Perez, and members of the audience. Item one, Hidalgo County Annual Tax Report for fiscal year 2021. We have Mr. Paulie Arial, the Hidalgo County Tax Assessor Collector, that will present the tax collection report. The report is attached to your board book.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be here, the president, or members, Dr. Perez, superintendent. So it is great after a long day. I'm not gonna say what I do, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Collect taxes and come over here and see that you're the top 5. Congratulations, that is great. It makes me appreciate my job to try to make sure that we collect as much revenue for your school district for the education of our children. So I'm very honored to be here. If you look on, I guess on tab number 1, which is part 1, I have the report. The report consists of current collections, delinquent and rollback taxes. It's a base amount, penalty and interest and attorney fees. Total collected for 2020, 2021 from Mission CISD, a total of $29,320,507.26. The rest of the report is disbursements, attorney fees, commissions, and costs. So the total disbursed was the amount that I just mentioned, $29,320,507.26. On the next tab or the next page, bar number 2, on this page here, it's on the middle section, it says current collections today. This is the base amount that was collected from the Mission CISD. Last year, we collected $25,560,816.69. This year was $26,490,414.02. An additional above last year of $929,597.33. Last year's percentage of collection was 93.50. This year's 94.64. We're very proud that we increased about 1.14 above last year. To me, giving you this report might take me about 5 minutes, but it took me the full year along with my staff to collect this. It was a hard year because of the COVID. We never did close our offices at one time. So the purpose was that if I'm supposed to collect 29 million and I end up collecting 18 million, that's gonna hurt the district. So I want to thank my staff for putting up with this COVID and trying to take all the CDC guidelines and precautions so we can make it happen. So very, very proud of that. The next page just give you a breakdown of the last 5 years. In 2016, we had a 93.35%. 2017, 93.43%. 2018, 93.73%. 2019, 93.50%. And today we have a 94.64%. So that's pretty much includes my report. The next page is, I believe, the delinquent tax attorneys are here. So, like I said, it's an honor to represent you and if there's any questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Paul.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Thank you.
for the work.
Thank you for collecting.
The next item is the annual delinquent tax collection report for fiscal year 2020, 2021. Ms. Kelly Salazar is here with us today. She's the attorney with Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson, the district's delinquent tax attorney. She'll present this report. This report is also on board.
Thanks very much. Good evening, Board President Zamora, Dr. Perez, and esteemed members of the board. Congratulations on your top 5 ranking and go get them. I'm Kelly Salazar here to present your fiscal year-end report for delinquent tax collections. Our delinquent tax program on behalf of Mission Consolidated Independent School District focus and continues to focus on 2 basic premises. The first is to collect an individual taxpayer first, and secondly, use the tool of litigation only as a final option. We all know that's especially important during this period of pandemic. It's so important to show compassion to the delinquent taxpayers, but also ensure that the district receives the necessary funds it needs to conduct its daily operations. During the last fiscal year, we completed 8 demand mailings, mailing over 7,200 statements to delinquent taxpayers in this district. We made over 8,800 telephone calls, incoming and outgoing. We had 168 payment agreements, and we had 511 payout requests. And similar to the Hidalgo County Tax Office, our offices never closed. We also have a convenient location here within the school district's jurisdiction to make it easy for your taxpayers to make their payments. Although we never closed, we made sure that it was safe for the taxpayers. We had contactless, curbside, we like to say, options for taxpayers to meet their obligations. So everyone felt safe, our staff as well as the community members here. Regarding our litigation activities, we have filed 112 lawsuits during this fiscal year, disposed of 108, taken 66 judgments and pending litigation as of August 2021. We have 264 active cases representing over $1 million in base and penalty interest owed to the Mission CISD. We regularly conduct tax sales and resales on delinquent properties with little to no effort to pay. I'm very happy to report that during this period of pandemic, we have not placed a single homestead occupied property up for sale. It's another extra measure of compassion that we're showing to the delinquent taxpayers in the area, doing our best to work with everyone to meet their financial needs. We have sold 11 properties during this period, representing over $65,000 to the district. $67,000 worth of properties, 3 properties were struck off. $27,000 representing 10 properties was received through our tax resale process. And 3 properties were paid in full prior to sale, which resulted in over $22,000 to the district. On the next page in your packet, you'll see our 3-year collection comparison. You'll see base tax, we collected nearly $1.6 million to base, over $589,000 in penalty and interest. Our total collections during this fiscal year of over $2.2 million. We wanted to show, we usually show a 2-year comparison when we give our fiscal year end reports, but due to the pandemic and the dip in collections due to the pandemic, particularly in March, April, and May, we thought it was important to give you a pre-pandemic comparison as well, so you can really get a better gauge of where we are. And you will see this fiscal year, we have passed the pre-pandemic year. So we're very happy to report that. I think that's due to the activity that our office has shown and the taxpayers sincerely wanting to make sure they meet their tax liability as well. Also, in terms of collection percentages, we like to do those as well. It is also up compared to the 3-year perspective as well. Looking forward to the future, we will still monitor delinquent tax accounts, making sure to identify those that are ripe for litigation and judgment. We also represent the district in bankruptcy accounts. And we'll continue our mailing program and schedule property sales. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Mr. Garcia, annual delinquent tax collection report for fiscal year 2021.
Yes, so good evening. The first item under discussion possible action is the approval and adoption of the ordinance for the 2021 school tax rate. Again, last week we discussed the proposed tax rate, and House Bill 3 did bring tax relief to the taxpayers. So I put together a short presentation. So one of the first things to consider is that there's 2 parts to the tax rate. First being the maintenance and operations tax rate. Maintenance and operations taxes paid for operating expenses of the district, such as salaries, fuel, utilities, supplies, equipment, contract services. And so this year, the proposed M&O rate is 0.9719. The other part of the tax rate is the debt service rate. And so debt service is used to pay our debt payments on voter approved bonds. And the proposed debt service is 0.1613. So the total tax rate, proposed tax rate is 1.1332. Now, if you notice that the tax rate trend over the last 6 years, it's gone down each year. So again, historically, we've lowered our M and O and debt service rates. Last year, we were at 1.1993. We came down this year to 1.1332. That's a 0.0661 cent decrease. Here I listed a few samples as far as how the tax rates impact the taxpayer. So as you know, many homes in the community increased in value. However, that was not in action by Mission CISD. The appraisal district has the authority to determine the values of our homes. In this scenario, a $100,000 home, had the property value stayed the same as last year's with our new rate, the owner would actually pay $56.10 less in M and O taxes, $66 total. But again, because property values went up, the tax rate, we're going to be collecting more taxes. So in some of this year's M and O rate is going down. The reason the taxes are higher is because of higher property values. The district is collecting more taxes because of the property values are going up. So we do have a recommendation, is a motion for the approval and adoption of the ordinance for the 2021 tax rate.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of $1.32, which is effectively a 2.33% increase in the tax rate.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept as read from Betty Mendoza, second by Minnie Rogers. Is there any discussion? There's not any discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. 7-0.
Okay.
Motion carried.
The next item are the approval of bids.
If I make a comment, this is very exciting news for our community because property taxes have been cut for the 4th year in a row. In 2018, our first year here, we lowered it by 1 cent. And then in 2019, by 10 cents. Last year, 4 cents. And this year, for 2021, it will be 6 cents. So we have been making increments in lowering our tax rates. So this has been exciting, and we're very glad to be able to do that. Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
The next item, item 2, approval of bids, proposals, and purchases of $50,000 and over. As you recall, last week, we did talk about the award, the purchase of the touchless water fountains. We actually delayed it a few days so that we can come back and get a few quotes. And so we did get a quote, and as a matter of fact, I received an updated quote earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and pass those out. Okay.
Okay.
So we wanted to purchase an additional 70 touchless water fountains. The updated quote is actually less than what we had initially intended, so it actually is $7,597 less. The recommendation from administration is to award the purchase of the touchless water fountains to Morrison Supply Company.
I so move.
Second.
Made by Minnie Rogers, I'm sorry, and seconded by Roy Vela. All those, any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Item B is the award of the purchase of the Reading Renaissance Accelerated Computer Program. This is an item that we also brought at the board workshop last week. So the Renaissance Learning is an online suite that provides the district with both accelerated reader and star reading assessments. Star reading assessment provides a system for tracking students' personal reading levels throughout the year. So the total cost of this software is about approximately $134,000. Recommendation from administration is to award the purchase of the Reading Renaissance Accelerated Reader Program.
So moved.
Second.
A motion on the floor was made by Betty Mendoza, seconded by Juan Gonzalez. Do I hear any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. 7-0, motion carries.
Next item, discussion and possible action to accept administration's rankings and enter into negotiations in the order of ranking for general construction services, job order, contracting. Mr. Rivera?
Good evening, President Zamora, members of the board, Dr. Pettis, Superintendent, members of the audience. The first agenda item I have is discussion and possible action to accept administration's rankings and enter into negotiations in the order of ranking for general construction services, which is job order contracting. The rankings are IQ number 1 at 88.3 points. Reno Works ranked number 2 at 82.4 points. 8A Builders ranked number 3 at 80.3 points. And Rio United Builders with 70 points ranked number 4. This agenda item was presented and discussed at the Board of Trustees workshop on Wednesday, September 1st. Administration presents discussion possible act to accept administration's rankings and enter into negotiations in the order of ranking for general construction services, job order contracting.
Move.
There's a motion on the floor by Roy Vela, seconded by Ms. Petra Ramirez. I hear any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. 7-0. Aye. Motion carries.
Consideration approval of change order number 1 for 33 delay days for the security entrances for Alta Memorial Junior High, Cape White Junior High, Pearson Elementary, and Roosevelt Alternative. This agenda item was presented and discussed at the Board of Trustees workshop on Wednesday, September 1st. Administration presents consideration approval of change order number 1 for 33 delay days for the security entrances for Alta Memorial Junior High, Cape White Junior High, Pearson Elementary, and Roosevelt Alternative.
Second.
Okay, a motion was made on the floor by Ms. Petra Ramirez, seconded by Mr. Juan Gonzalez. I have any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Consideration and approval of change order number 2 for 8 delay days for the central office chiller replacement project. This agenda item was presented and discussed at the Board of Trustees workshop on Wednesday, September 1st. Administration presents consideration and approval of change order number 2 for 8 delay days for the central office chiller replacement project.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor by Ms. Betty Mendoza, seconded by Mr. Juan Gonzalez. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Consideration and approval of change proposal request number 1 for temporary covering of footings for aluminum canopies for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. This agenda item was presented and discussed at the Board of Trustees workshop on Wednesday, September 1st. This is at a cost of $8,716.88 to come from the contingency allowance. Administration presents consideration and approval of change proposal request number 1, temporary coverage of footings for aluminum canopy for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program.
I so move.
Second.
Motion on the floor was made by Ms. Minnie Rogers, seconded by Mr. Roy Vela. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Discussion and possible action of change proposal request number 2, to replace the aluminum canopy with a steel canopy structure for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. This agenda item was presented and discussed at the Board of Trustees workshop on Wednesday, September 1st. As per administration and PDK architects, administration does not recommend this change proposal request number 2 as noted in the administrative considerations. However, for the record, this needed to be presented for the contractor.
Give.
Administration presents discussion and possible action of change proposal request number 2 to replace the aluminum canopy with a steel canopy structure for Mission High School's Special Education 18+ program. And again, administration requests that we not approve this.
Do we not approve what?
That you not approve
Not approved. Number 7,
from steel
Oh,
on the aluminum.
from an aluminum
The aluminum to steel.
expense.
So the motion is to not approve.
Leave it aluminum.
but we still have to make a motion.
No,
Not to,
We're not approving.
yeah, they're
I'm gonna
not.
leave it as aluminum.
So you're basically pulling it out, pulling it.
Yes, we just need to present it.
Okay.
We don't want the general contractor or the contractor to come back and say, you never presented it. And that's why we're doing it, just for the record.
It doesn't require a vote.
It does not require a vote. You can take a vote. You
I-
have to take the administration.
I think it would be best so that it can be on record.
we're approving that you're not recommending for us to approve it, correct?
Yes, to not approve the record.
So we do have to make a motion.
Yes,
No,
No, we don't, but if you want to.
but I think we need to,
Okay,
I so
so that we can have it on
okay,
record.
so if we want to start with the first one that you didn't want to do. Which
Number-
was
Tell us.
for, 8, right? So 7,
Number 7.
Number 7.
7.
number 8, oh yeah.
yeah, go ahead. So,
Read it again.
yes, okay, do it from the
I
beginning.
can make the motion.
Oh, she already did.
Discussion and possible action of change proposal request number 2 to replace the aluminum canopy with a steel canopy structure for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. Administration recommends not to approve this.
I so move.
A second.
Okay, so a motion on the floor was made by Betty Mendoza, seconded by Ms. Petra Ramirez. Any discussion?
So this means that it's just gonna wait until the aluminum comes in to get it done?
There's the next agenda item is to replace the vendor with another vendor that can supply it much quicker.
Remember they gave us options?
You know,
Yeah, several options.
several options.
That's why there was no need.
Any further discussion? No further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 7-0.
Consideration approval of change proposal request number 3 to replace aluminum canopies vendor for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. This agenda item was presented and discussed at the Board of Trustees workshop on Wednesday, September 1st. Administration presents consideration approval of change proposal request number 3 to replace the aluminum canopies vendor for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. I so move.
I second.
Motion on the floor was made by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by Betty Mendoza. Any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
The next agenda item is discussion and possible action of change order number 1 for 190 delayed days for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. This agenda item I will pull because on the previous item, you approved the new vendor. So this was just in case. So this item, we will pull. Next agenda item is discussion and possible action to accept administration's rankings and enter into negotiations in the order of ranking for professional design services for the architect, engineering, testing services for various district projects.
I so move.
Second.
So, sorry, this will have to be taken by project, by individual project. I
Oh,
just
that's
want to
right.
make sure,
So he's gotta name each one.
each project, because each project is treated a little bit differently, so in terms of the
debate on the project or the dialogue about the project.
For the playground equipment at 11 elementary schools, administration presents R. Hinojosa Engineering for the design and for the testing, Robert Kistner.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, a motion on the floor was made by Ms. Minnie Rogers, second by Juan Gonzalez. Is there any discussion? Now, any of these projects, does anybody want like presentations done on any of these type projects?
We got them last week.
They already,
We got them last week.
we're approving what was already done.
But actual from the
No,
the companies themselves?
I don't think there's a need unless somebody wants one, but
So you're saying that we would have the presentations today, or you're saying that we
No.
would wait and have the presentation?
I'm just asking a question.
no.
It would have to be at a later time.
They've already heard the presentations themselves, the committee.
Because we heard it last week also.
Yes, for the workshop.
Yes?
All right. So if there's any more discussion?
We're not-
Any more discussion?
No.
Okay, if there's no more discussion, all those in favor,
That was the first one,
say aye.
Aye.
for the playground, right?
Yes.
Playground.
The playground.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 7-0.
For the synthetic turf for baseball and softball fields at Federal Memorial High School and Mission High School, administration presents Javier Hinojosa Civil Engineering with Robert Kistner as a testing lab.
I propose with second.
Okay, motion on the floor was made by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Roy Vela. All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. I'm sorry.
I believe there was one.
Oh, okay, that's right. It'd be 6-0. And one abstain.
For the indoor air quality project, administration recommends DBR MEP Engineering and MED MEG Engineers as a testing lab.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Mr. Roy Vela, seconded by Mrs. Petra Ramirez. Any discussion? And no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
For the Mission Collegiate High School Physical Education Pavilion, administration presents EGB Architects as a design professional and Robert Kistner as a testing lab.
So move.
Second.
Okay, a motion on the floor was made by Ms. Betty Mendoza, seconded by Mr. Roy Vela. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, 6-0, one abstain. Motion carries.
For the Farmers Project, administration recommends Javier Hinojosa Civil Engineering as a design professional and Robert Kistner as a testing lab.
So,
Second.
Was that you, Mr. Ramirez?
yes.
Motion made on the floor by Ms. Petra Ramirez, second by Mr. Roy Vela. Any discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Coach, was that an aye?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Rivera. So from now on, this is how it's gonna be. We're not gonna have presentations where they're gonna come present, even though the committee, I know, has taken care of it. We're gonna go by what the committee decided.
Throughout my years, we've had different processes as have presentations or not have presentations, and that's been at the request of the different boards. If you like presentations, then you would discuss that with Dr. Bettis. We can do it any way.
Yes.
Uh,
At one time, when I believe the bond was ongoing, and that was when I was hired, it was already towards the tail end. And the board was doing rankings, and then it stopped. I was asked that And when items were coming to the board, the administration was asked to do the rankings. So the board can advise as to how you all would like us to handle that.
I take that into consideration, have them come and present.
Yes,
Maybe
and
when it's up a certain amount, maybe.
yeah, we, as a matter of fact, on the next board workshop, we can certainly talk about that. And so that you all can provide guidance.
If you remember correctly, we've been through that with the other, we had even a committee made of board members that were selecting, but then it came to the point that it was just getting too long, and then we decided that we would give the committee was made by the executive team over here, or people, whoever Mr. Rivera would decide, and then, and superintendent, that they would look at the packets and they would interview the people and they would look at those, and that was easier for us. So why is the question of the presentation?
I don't have a problem with them taking care of the rankings in the committees. I'm just suggesting that maybe we should have presentations after the rankings. That's all.
And
Look what we're going through with the stadium and the bleachers. Regardless, it reflects on us as the board,
yes,
you know, and so we're the ones who take that brunt of it.
and,
You know, just
okay.
something that we would see what is being presented.
Okay, and at that time, Mr. Henson, you were here, I was not.
But we did have,
How was that handled?
I'm sorry,
How was that handled in the past? With the stadium and all of that? The rankings were done by the board?
Those rankings were done by the board.
Okay,
at that particular time, yes.
okay, so we will
It was just a-
certainly put it on the agenda for the next board workshop, and we can have a conversation
We can discuss it
and
then.
discuss it then. What do you think, Mr. Hanson?
But clarification on the stadium and stuff like that,
Yes.
we did have
Committee?
presentations by contractor and them at that particular time on the bleachers and what was being done. And I understand, you know, that everything that we vote on does reflect because we are the ones, but it was not because we did not have presentations at that particular time, because we were having them.
Yeah.
It was later on that we did away with the presentations and the other ones. So just for clarification for people that are watching and have questions on it, that was the case. We did have presentations on,
But not all of us voted on it. It was only the people that were.
we
committed.
voted on who was going to be selected, and you know,
Okay.
that answer.
And I do recall when I was hired, that's when the board approached us, Mr. Henson and I, and the board said, as a whole, we want to be part of that committee. So then the board, all of the board members started attending and doing the rankings and things like that. But I came in towards the tail end. But we will consult with Mr. Henson and put it on the agenda so that we can have further discussion.
It's just a recommendation, and we can
Absolutely.
discuss it in our next workshop.
Thank you.
And to be transparent, how are the bids processed? How is it come? How are they sealed? Who opens and so forth? Just for transparency.
Absolutely. Ms. Garcia, would you like to address that? And Mr.
The bids are received through our online portal, and there are still some vendors that have not signed on to the portal, so we'll get one or two of them now and then that are copied, so. The bids are sealed until the time that the bid is due, the date and time, and after that date and time has passed, then the purchasing department will open bids in public. And the public is invited to attend, anyone can attend. And of course, Mr. Rivera, or representative from his team is there to witness the opening as well. They're recorded and then they are tabulated by the purchasing department. And we then have a committee that is responsible for evaluating the bids. In this case, there were requests for qualifications. So in the request for qualifications, we did provide a list of criteria that the firms would have to submit information supporting that criteria, and then they would be ranked based on those responses. And it was a full spreadsheet, as Mr. Rivera presented that last week, with quite a bit of items that we have to go through every single packet, make sure, and then rank them based on their responses to that criteria.
Who was part of the committee?
The committee for this RFQ was, of course, Mr. Rivera, Mr. Garcia, myself, Ms. Dora Garcia, and Ms. Vicky Cuevas, our purchasing specialist.
Thank you. Was that the same way it was done back then when the stadium was proposed?
At that time, we had a.
No,
We had a facilities committee.
The committee did the ranking.
when we first came in as board members,
2014.
yes,
Hmm.
they had, you would come into a committee,
I see.
okay? That was the way it was done, and the committee was the one, after the presentation, they would even do it here and they would rank.
Committee? The board was part of the committee?
The board was part, three people from the.
Certain
from the
committee
board
mem-
were Part of the committee.
At the beginning, it is, Mr. Hanson, would you like to address,
Sure,
because you have the history?
sure, thank you. So, yes, I mean, you had a facilities committee meeting, and there were three board members that were appointed to the facilities committee. And those, they would participate in the ranking along with administration. Then to accept or reject a ranking, that actually goes to the board, and so the board could, take it up to discuss it as a whole when it was brought to them. So the idea there is that the facilities committee at that time would go ahead and perform a similar function to what administration does.
Sure.
But they do it as three board members, because it's a committee, meeting of the whole. And so they would get together, and then at the next meeting, they, just like this, they would present a ranking to the board for approval. And, or you could reject the ranking or approve the ranking. And if, of course, it's rejected, then you pretty much start over. Okay, so, but that's how that went.
Thank you.
At that time, and just to be clear, because I'm a lawyer and I can't help myself, so when you hire an architect or design professional, you do a request for qualification.
Mhm.
And so in that one, you don't ask for money terms, right? Because the law says you don't get to ask for that. In a bid for a contractor, you do ask for the money terms there, and that's part of the range. So for a design professional like here, you're looking for the most qualified based on their demonstrated competence and qualifications. And for a bidder, it's a combination which will include price.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think at one time, why it changed, that we gave it back to the authority of the central office people, was because there were too many times that, well, we need this by now. And you couldn't get all the board together because, of course, some people worked all the time. And that was part of the problem, that they said, well, if we give it to the superintendent and their committee, then it'll be okay. So that was part of the problem also at one time.
So, Mr. Gonzalez, instead of going home at 9, you're going home at 11 because you're.
Still going at 11, I don't know.
Well,
Okay.
all right.
No, just wanted for clarity and transparency because those are the discussions that I hear in
Absolutely.
residents.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay. The next items are consent agenda. And any trustee may request the removal of an item from the consent agenda for individual consideration and action. And the consent agenda includes from number 1 all the way to number 14. Are there any items that the board would wish to pull and discuss from the consent agenda?
Nope, I propose we move.
A second.
From items.
1 through 14
And all of them were.
were presented at the board workshop.
Okay. A motion has been made by Mr. Juan Gonzalez and seconded by Mrs. Petra Ramirez to accept the consent agenda as provided, number 1 through number 14. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
The next item, recommendations, Ms. Garcia?
Items we're recommending discussed in executive session.
And we are ready to go into executive session.
Okay, we'll be going into executive session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Board may enter into a closed meeting to deliberate any item as listed above that fits within an exception listed in subchapter D. Any final action, decision, or vote on a subject deliberated in closed meeting will be taken in an open meeting held in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. We are now in executive session at 7:46.
Give it.
It is 8:49 PM.
We are going to begin with recommendations. Approval of the selection for employee benefits and payroll accountant. The administration recommends Leonor Garcia for such position.
Second,
The motion on the floor was made by Mrs. Petra Ramirez, seconded by Roy Vela. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Next item, licensed specialist in psychology. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve Araceli Chapa.
second,
Was that you, Coach?
Juan, Mr. Gonzalez.
Okay, a motion on the floor was made by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by Coach Iris Iglesias. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
aye,
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Approval of selection of licensed specialist in school psychology. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve Hanley Ramirez.
Second.
The motion on the floor was made by Betty Mendoza, seconded by Mr. Juan Gonzalez. Any discussion? Okay, if no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
aye,
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
The next item is public comment. Ms. Cindy Barrera?
I'm Arthur Flores, and this topic is going to be school mask mandate.
Okay. Mr. Zamora?
As we do prior to public comments, I will now state that the Board of Trustees will now hear comments from those persons who have signed up to speak. This portion of the meeting is set aside for parents, students, and committee members to speak to the Board of Trustees about any matter of interest to them pertaining to the school. Under Board Policy, BED Local, the Board of Trustees has allotted 30 minutes to hear persons who desire to make comments to the board on subjects that do not appear on the agenda. Each person who speaks on a subject that is not on the board agenda may speak for no more than 5 minutes. Delegations of more than 5 persons who will speak on a subject that is not on the board agenda shall appoint one person to use before the board for no more than 5 minutes. Under Texas Government Code 5.007, the board will hear public comment concerning an item appearing on the agenda. No presentation shall exceed 5 minutes. Persons that use translators will be allowed 10 minutes each. When more than 5 persons seek to provide public comment on items appearing on a meeting agenda, the presiding officer may reduce the time allotted for each person to give public comment to 3 minutes for persons that do not need translators. When the maximum presentation time is reduced, persons who utilize translators shall be allotted twice the amount of the time to comment as a person who does not utilize a translator. All public comment is limited to individuals who have signed up for public comment before. During this part of the meeting, Board of Trustees will listen, but it will not engage in dialogue or debate with the speakers. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by their comments. While it is not the board's intent to stifle public comment, speakers should be aware that if their statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, the speaker may be held legally responsible. If any speaker is unsure of the legal ramifications of the comments he or she wishes to make, the speaker may wish to consult first with his or her own legal advisor. The board reminds speakers that public comment is not the time or place to bring the board complaints about a particular employee or individual. The board has adopted specific complaint policies and specific procedures for presenting those complaints. Those policies require a written complaint, administrative conferences, and a request that the item be placed on the agenda of a board meeting. If I, as presiding officer, determine that the presentation made during this portion of the meeting is a complaint that falls within the scope of one of the school district's grievance policies, I was respectfully asked that the presenter stop speaking and to use the board's adopted policies and procedures so that the concern can be heard in the appropriate way. The board expects that request to be honored. The board expects all members of the audience to behave in a polite and orderly fashion during this and all other portions of the meeting. Disruptive conduct will not be tolerated.
Ms. Cindy, you'll take time?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hearing me this evening. I'm a former teacher. I'm retired now. I taught in McAllen, PSJA, and Edinburgh, and that's partly why I have show and tell about some props and stuff. I want to begin my talk by giving you all a lesson.
Oh, sorry about that.
Lesson on a lesson on news reporting 101. When you're doing news reporting, you're supposed to ask who, what, where, and when. Another question I think is most important is to ask why. If I were to take you all back in time to 2019, 2018, I retired several years before that. And if you go back in time and you walk into my classroom and you see little children all over the room wearing a mask, the first thing you would come to mind is that something is wrong with this teacher. You are doing something wrong to those children. Three things happen when you mask a small child. You're doing them physical harm because they are not able to breathe clean oxygen. They're rebreathing their CO2. This emotional harm, they're thinking that, what did I do wrong? Why is this happening for 9 months and who knows how much longer it's going to happen? You're instilling fear in these children. They want to know, what do I have to be afraid of, that door or that table or taking off my mask and seeing somebody smile? What is wrong? Because they don't understand everything about the virus. As adults and scientists, we don't understand everything either. Psychological harm, you're stifling their social growth and their development. That's one of the things they teach you as a teacher, that you're growing the child not just in knowledge, but in all kinds of areas where their brain, where their heart, where their soul lies. As far as breathing CO2, you are familiar with a time when somebody might have a panic attack when they're hyperventilating. So you give them a bag and they breathe into the bag. They breathe in oxygen, carbon dioxide over and over again into a bag. That helps them. However, to breathe carbon dioxide is not good. It is not good. I want to show you something else about the masks. This is the common cloth mask. It's mostly paper. And I've seen videos where, for example, a video showing a man using one of those blue masks, breathing in vapor from a vape or a cigarette, and he blows it out, and the smoke comes out all over from the sides of the mask. It even shows you, you can see it in a video, you can't see it necessarily here, but it shows you that the smoke comes out from the front of the mask. Comes, not as much, but you can see it. So what's the purpose of the mask? I've been to several stores here in the valley. I took photos with my phone of boxes of masks from Home Depot in Sharyland, Costco and Lowe's in Thar, and Sam's in McAllen.
So you have 45 seconds.
All of the boxes say something similar to, they do not stop disease, infection, illness, or death. It says it on the box. This box from Sam's, on the bottom, very small letters, it says, will not serve as a measure to stop the community spread of COVID-19. It says it right on the box. These are also boxes that I've seen and taken pictures of. N95 boxes say the same thing. They say they don't work. And that's basically my talking points here is to leave the kids alone, don't mask them. You're hurting the kids. And if the reason for why is having to do with the American Rescue Plan, then you should be ashamed of yourselves. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
All right. Board of Trustees information items, personnel employments, resignations, transfers, and compensation changes, tax levy adjustments for the month of July 2021, disbursements for the month of July 2021. Also, we'd like to inform the board and the community that all of our employees have received their 1,000 retention and recruitment stipend as of today. Important dates to remember: October 6, 2021, Board of Trustees workshop at 6:30 p.m. And October 20th, 2021, regular Board of Trustees meeting at 6:30 p.m. And next item, consideration of level 3 grievance pursuant to DGB 8 local. Mr. Hanson? I'm sorry? It's your script.
Okay. The board,
Here, sir.
hello,
Testing.
there you go. The board will now close this meeting under authority of Texas Government Code Section 551.074 and 551.071 for the purpose of hearing an employee's complaint regarding her termination. Stop the tape. Take to close meeting. I guess that's what we do.
Mr. Hanson?
It's now 10:26 p.m. on September 8, 2021. The board did not take any vote or action in closed meeting. The board has heard the complaint of Ms. Maria Peña. Do I hear a motion? There is no motion. The complaint proceeding before the Board of Trustees is now concluded. You have anything, Doc?
No.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move. Motion to close.
Motion was made by, Roy Vela, seconded by, Ms. Petra Ramirez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Now it is now 10:26. Meeting is adjourned.